So here I am today with Amy Solowij, and she's kindly enough come down. We've known each other for years, so maybe we should start and talk about how we actually know each other.
I was trying to work out how long ago it was that we met, and it was when I was editing Harvey Nichols magazine in the late 1990s, and we were shooting all the time, and you were doing makeup for loads of our photographers. So that's a long time ago, nearly 20 years ago.
I remember we done a trip to South Africa.
Oh yeah, Cape Town.
Yeah. That was one of my first trips. That was a funny trip.
That was good fun. We did a sort of beachwear story and a kind of travel story. But we used to shoot a lot. We used to do a lot of studio shoots in London as well. And it was that whole era where there wasn't a lot of makeup. It was very...
Here I am!
It was very kind of pared back and minimal, but you actually needed to do a lot of work to make the skin look good and just to get the tiny details right. And I always thought you did such a good job of that.
Well, I was desperado to do some makeup. I had to do something, so I suppose at that point in time it was about me really trying to do a makeup that didn't actually look like makeup, so I wasn't asked to take it off, but they just looked better. And I suppose
it was the skin thing. Yeah. I think it was that whole era where people were really paying a load of attention to what the quality of the skin, what that looked like, and enhancing details. It wasn't about a big eye or a lip or even a brow in those days.
Even though I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
No
I had to hold it back. Not put those brushes away. No. Get the neutrals out.
Get the neutrals out.
But it was because we were shooting fashion, so you never really wanted the makeup to be overwhelming. And I always thought that you did such exquisite skin. And I remember standing, because I would go on a lot of the shoots, and I would just stand and like watch what you were doing, and I loved the way you worked the skin, and there was always all these stages beforehand, the massage and everything to bring them to life, and you put tiny little bits of things on, and like, oh, what's she doing there? And it always fascinated me.
That's what I was doing.
Yeah, it's magic. Wendy's magic.
So and then you was at Harvey Nichols, and then you went to Vogue, right?
Yeah, I left Harvey Nichols, went freelance. I worked on 2 different magazines for about a year. I was fashion editor on one, and then beauty kind of deputy editor with Sarah Mower. And then I went to Vogue and spent 6 years there as beauty director, and that was all really exciting. And then I left, God, how long ago now?
Why did you leave there?
It's a finishing school, Vogue. Okay. And I had a very finishing school mindset, and it was like, okay, I'd been at Elle for 6 years, I'd been at Marie Claire for 2 years, I'd been freelance a lot, I'd edited my own title with Harvey Nichols. And you kind of think when you get invited to go in, of course you're going to go there and have the conversation. And then I got offered the job. And it had never really been on my radar, because I felt like my era was when I was at Elle in the early 90s. Right. That whole kind of natural, kind of sporty, kind of grunge era, and very much about fitness and the beginning of wellness, the whole sort of spa thing. And slightly edgier take on beauty that wasn't relying too heavily on kind of makeup in a sense. There was a bigger world around it, and I felt that was an era where everything kind of came together for me. But I wanted to do Vogue, knowing that someone's interested in you suddenly makes you interested.
Yeah, of course.
And
it's like the boyfriend that you never, or the guy that you never fancied, who suddenly fancied you, and then suddenly you fancy them, and you didn't know why.
Exactly
it's a bit like, well, I fancy you now they don't fancy me, and now I still fancy you, because you fancied me in the first place. It's a bit like that.
But I dumped Vogue. No, I kind of wanted to do it, and I felt as though I had a lot to say still, and I'd been freelance, and I liked the idea of being in a place, being with that kind of editorial family where you're working with a team. I suppose the reason I left is because the game moves on all the time, and you start thinking about other things, and I wanted to do my own thing. I realised I had a lot of knowledge, and I was somewhat limited to what I could do with it there.
But did you train to be a journalist? What's the back?
No.
How was it?
No, I've got a couple of A-levels, and that's it.
Okay.
Never did a degree. Was always interested in writing, and always liked expressing ideas through words and images. I mean, I was as much a stylist at the beginning as I was a journalist. But I think with beauty, you either go down the visual route, and there's less less of us doing
Yeah.
that, or you concentrate on the words route. And I think the minute I went freelance, when I left Elle in the mid-90s, I went freelance, and I did get a lot of styling work, but I ended up getting mostly writing work.
Oh,
And I
right.
just concentrated on the words. You realise it becomes a vehicle to explain what's going on in
Yeah.
a much more specific way than images are.
Yeah.
And also,
Because they can be interpreted in lots of different ways.
yeah, and also there's so much control over style and the photographers you work with, and it's much more about the team, whereas
Yeah.
with writing, it's you, it's your head, it's your research, it's your opinion,
thoughts, yeah.
and you get to control it much more. And I think ultimately I am a control freak. I admit it. I admit it.
So do you think you've adapted to the new way now? Have you changed your way of working?
I do feel a bit of a dinosaur because I still like writing a really long article. I mean, I was trained to write 2,000 words on skincare on one subject, and I don't know many journalists now who could work to that depth, that level. It's very much sort of captions or
very small.
Yeah, short pieces, very soundbitey, and that's because the audience has changed. That we're told that people don't have the attention span. So I suppose I still have much more of a research-based absolute depth, really picking apart a subject and then putting it back together again. So it's very much about knowledge and delivering and kind of the pace of a piece. Having said that, I am co-founder of Beauty Mart now, which is a retail business with my business partner Millie Kendall, and we have an online store and a boutique in Topshop, Oxford Circus. And I'm the person that writes the online text, and that is very much short and sharp.
Right.
So I've had to learn for that a very different way of communicating, so how to deliver the key important details for every product in our voice, because it's not the brand voice, it's the Beauty Mart voice, because it's very much about an edited concept.
Right.
So me as an editor and Millie as a sort of retailer, as a shop girl, our favourite products and how we pulled them together and why we love them. So it's very much...
Okay, so the concept of Beauty Mart is an edited version of your
all our
favourite
favourite
things.
stuff.
Like, would we call it a pharmacy, or would we call it a makeup store? What would we call
It's
it?
kind of lots of different things. It's not one category, so it's across the board.
Right.
So yes, an old-fashioned high street pharmacy where you can buy some makeup and skincare, and there's some sort of weird product and something a little bit medical but not quite, and maybe some old-fashioned bath salts, and a brand that's been around for 40 years but equally a brand that launched last week.
Right.
So it's across all categories, so skincare, makeup, hair, tools.
But you don't have all the line of just
Just
certain
the cherry
edits.
picks.
Yeah.
So literally we sell Elizabeth Arden 8-hour cream,
Okay.
one product.
It's so funny you should say that. The 8-hour cream, I feel, has got a real massive resurgence because some of the models that I've had on the channel, two of them have brought that up.
Yeah, but that's because every makeup artist they're working with is probably using it as a lip balm or a brow balm or for cuticles. Their mother's probably used it. Their grandmother's probably used it. So there is this resurgence of rediscovering classic products. Equally, we sell a lot of K-beauty products. We kind of relaunched the whole of the French pharmacy category. We launched 5 years ago in 2012 with Embryolisse and homeoplasmine and Bioderma, that whole micellar water thing that you couldn't buy here. Yeah. We kicked that all off, and then suddenly that becomes a big thing.
So you have one store which is in Topshop.
Yeah, in Oxford Circus.
And then everything else is online?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we sell the same things online as in store. We have more of a kind of regional customer online, probably slightly older. But what Millie and I talk about is, rather than demographics, because you would think, oh yeah, Topshop's a young fashion girl, online maybe it's more her mum or sort of an older woman. It's so not about ages anymore. It's about attitude and style. So we talk about psychographics, your mindset.
Right. Okay.
Because actually, I'm 55, but I get as excited about the kind of latest crazy stuff from South Korea as any 18-year-old who comes into Topshop. And, I'm kind of like fussing over the packaging and the details and oh my God, look what it looks like. And you can use it for this and you can use it for that. And I don't think that there are extremely limited age group definitions anymore. I think the whole age thing's starting to merge and meld.
And it depends on just mindset, really.
It's mindset and style and what you look like and what you're into. Yeah. So equally, some of the younger girls that you've been talking to are excited about 8 Hour Cream.
Yeah.
My mum uses it. She's 92.
Yeah.
So there's none of those age barriers anymore. Everything kind of slides between.
But you know what's nice about Beauty Mart? Because like, unless you travelled before, you could not access any of these things, and you probably wouldn't know about it. And that's why, or us as makeup artists, we had like a secret channel to things because we travel and we know what's available. But now you brought it to everybody else.
Yeah, because I was interviewing people like you as a journalist, getting all of those stories down, putting them in magazines for years. The only difference now is that we're selling it.
Yeah.
It's literally the shop of the magazine.
Oh, that's
so
amazing.
The way I used to put a page together, which would be like, oh, my favourite finds when I'm away travelling, or what makeup artists always use backstage, what they have in their kits. All of that information was put into magazines, but nobody was selling it in one place, and you would have to go all over the world and lots of different shops and pay lots of different prices.
Yeah.
Whereas we just packaged it all up and put it in one place.
It's a smart idea. Well, thanks for coming in, Anne-Marie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And she's going to be back very soon, so watch out.
Okay.
So, any questions?
Yeah, we take questions.
Yeah, feed them through.
Ask me what you want.
Wait a minute.